All right, everyone, Coach Manning here. We can start with Kevin Suits.
Mark, Happy New Year, and nice to see you. Can you tell us a little bit about your team this year and I guess the talent you have with 6 returning All-Americans and several other guys that have some pretty good experience for you?
Yeah. Hey, great seeing you, Kevin. Miss you, man. Yeah, we have a veteran group back. Really, we have 5 seniors, and really Liam Cronin is a new face on our team, a grad transfer from Indiana, and he'll be our starting 125 pounder. But we have a lot of veteran leadership coming back. You know, 3-time All-American C.J. Redd, Taylor Vance, a couple-time All-American Eric Schultz at 197. Those guys are all highly ranked at their weight, along with Mikey Labarola at 174, and then a senior heavyweight in Christian Lance. So it's really good. It's those guys are going to really kind of lead the way for us, and really to just really get in our lineup. We have a number of 133 and 149. We feel we have some amazing depth, and Alex Thompson will get the nod this weekend, who wrestled 125. He's moved up in weight, 133, and Tucker Schomling's pushing him. And then 149, Brock Hardy, who was a young man, interesting. We signed him 3 years ago. He's from Utah. He went on his Mormon mission, came back. It seems like forever that we signed him. But he's going to be our starter on Friday night. But we also have 2 guys, Javon Parrish, who is a guy that wrestled for us a couple years ago as a true freshman out of the gate, and he redshirted last year, and he's bigger and better than ever. And then Kevon Davenport, who had a really good redshirt year last year, and really shows a lot of promise. So we have 3 guys that are really biting at the bit there, and it's going to be good. It's a good problem to have.
With all those guys that you just named, Coach, how do you describe the level of talent that you see on a daily basis in the wrestling room?
Yeah, we have a lot of good talent in our program right now, and just it helps us really continue to build the culture of our program. And we know being in the Big Ten, if you can win a Big Ten title, you have a great chance to be a national champion. So first is obviously we have all of our competition this year before the NCAA tournament is Big Ten duels, 9 Big Ten duels, and then Big Ten championships and so on. So if we show not only our talent, we're going to have to show the grit and determination and just be tougher than the other guy here in a lot of situations in order for us to go 9-0, and that's the goal. We got to go 9-0, and so it's kind of what we've laid out to our team, and it's the intangibles that's going to make that happen for us. Guys staying disciplined, staying safe in this environment of pandemic, and so I not only have to be the toughest team, but you have to be the most disciplined team, because from week to week, one guy can make or break your lineup as far as getting positive or just taking care of their health, and so it's going to be imperative we stay doing those things.
Next up, we have Jeff.
Hey, Coach. So you mentioned Liam Cronin already with that 125 spot coming in from Indiana. He's wrestled there for a few years. What kind of leadership and experience does he bring to the table? Just because you have younger guys than those lower weights, specifically with Ridge Levitt and Alex Thompson, what kind of leadership does he bring to the table in terms of that to your wrestling room?
Yeah, he just fits right in with our group. Number one, his personality and his work ethic. He came here for a reason, and he wants to win a national title, and so he really fits in great with the mentality we have on our team currently, and he really likes our guys. Our guys like him. That's a big thing, and then he just fits in because of work ethic and just how he is as a person. Him and Alex Thompson really formed a great bond They wrestled 3 times last year. So now they're just competitors in the wrestling room rather than out at the Big Ten tournament and so on. So it's been good.
All right, question from Margaret.
Hey, Coach. So in a normal season, I mean, this year's been anything but normal. You guys would be wrestling in November, having that non-conference competition, maybe figuring out your weight classes before you go head first into Big Ten competition. How have you maybe compensated for missing that beginning portion of the season?
Yeah, good question, Margaret. We've just tried to set up competitions within our wrestling room on certain weekends here the last month, and so a little bit before Christmas time, and then the last couple weeks. So we've had some spirited wrestle-offs or competitions, whatever you want, and we just tried to set it up in like an environment like we're going to wrestle on Friday night, even though it's going to be in the Devaney Center. There's not going to be many fans, and so our extra guys were our fans in our wrestling room. So it's going to be a little bit quiet, right? It's going to be a little quiet. It's quiet in our wrestling room when wrestle-offs are going on because we just tell our guys, hey, not really cheer or take sides. And so from that sense, it's been good because we feel that we've tried to get our guys down to weight, make the weight. That's a big discipline part of college wrestling is getting guys down to weight. They would have weighed in, officially 6 or 7 times by this time of the year. So from that standpoint, a lot of times people might say early in the season, wow, the guy got really tired. He's not in shape. Well, he's probably not in shape. It's not the shape part. It's getting guys down to weight so their energy system is at its best when they go to compete. So just working through that dynamic and making sure we're at our best here this first weekend.
All right, we'll head back to Kevin Suits.
Mark, I think I read somewhere that it's been over 300 days since you guys had your last competition. You've been at this for a while, and that's an extremely long time, and I'm sure you've never gone through anything like that. When you take yourself back to the last time you were with the guys in an actual competition, what did you tell them, especially with the events that followed, that the season just ended the way it did? Because it seemed like you guys were in a position to maybe make a pretty good run at possibly a national championship. You finished second of the Big Tens.
Yeah, great. Kevin, it just ended so suddenly. When you're in that wrestling room with these guys each and every day, you just become, it just becomes habit for you to be around each other all the time, and that's what these guys love about being college athletics and being part of a team and being part of a culture they feel they add to, and not only that, they benefit from, is they miss that. And so early March, really was the last time, a few days before the NCAA tournament, we got the call, and then we didn't get to see these guys really. I saw them on and off a little bit at a local sports club where they went and worked out, but I couldn't be around them. I couldn't put them through workouts, but I was putting maybe Tyler Berger and Jordan Burroughs, and we used the same club, and I saw them from here and there, but a lot of Zoom calls. It's just not the same. We all know you're not as productive just coaching from a Zoom call as you are in person. And so our guys loved when they got back in the room, but there again, we had to break up our squad. We weren't all together until just recently, right after Christmas, December 27th, we started antigen testing every day. So the guys is just full of life, and they love being around each other, and that dynamic is different. And I see just great energy from when we last were together in March, and we kind of had it rolling to where we are now, and I just feel that's a continuation. The other strange, odd, weird thing was we had eight All-Americans as far as what the NCAA put out. They said first team, second team, third team. We gave those awards out last week. We would have normally had a sports banquet. And I remember Jordan turns. Jordan's like, Manning, this is the first award banquet I've ever been at where I didn't get an award. I said, hey, you're guest speaker here, buddy. So it's strange how kind of what you're talking about is tying in from last year, the end of the year, to now. And it's just been a weird last 9 months, obviously.
Coach, real quick, just, when everything went down back in March, that everything was done for them and they wouldn't get back on the mat as a 2020 team. How do they deal with that?
Yeah, you know what? Our guys are really resilient. What was really hurt me was guys like Colin Purrington, who's around now. He's part of our RTC, and Isaiah White. Those guys, were seniors. This is their last go at it. They didn't get the year back type thing. I just feel bad for those guys because they didn't get to compete at the NCAA tournament. So the other guys, not only got this year, and then they get another year. So they really don't know that loss, but just losing the NCAA tournament is really tough. And so that's what that's what you dream about. Just like, young kids dream about being the NFL football player. And you dream about being the NCAA champion. You dream about wrestling the NCAA tournament. And last year, we'll all never know, but they were projecting 50,000 fans at TBS. I'm not saying the exact stadium, right, where the Vikings compete. And that would have been big time, first time in an arena that large for college wrestling. Just shows what our sport is. And I think, that's really good. And BTN does a great job. Big Ten Network does a great job of really promoting our sport. So it's really neat.
All right, we'll go back to Jeff.
So, Coach, you talked about Tucker Schommelin already, and just I think over the past couple of years, he split time a couple of years ago, dealt with that shoulder injury last year. What kind of perseverance have you seen from him this offseason? Because it just seemed like he's kind of just skyrocketed in development and battling for that spot at 133.
Yeah. Wow. Can't be prouder of a young man like Tucker Schommelin. One, he's going to graduate soon, so really he's graduating in about 3 years. Very bright, very talented individual. He's going to do great in life. He's going to knock it out of the park. But he's growing so much and matured as a person. Like you said, a couple years ago, he wrestled some for us, and then he had a bad shoulder injury he was wrestling actually with, and then he was out for most of last year rehabbing that, and he's just come back bigger and better than ever. And it's just because his character and he's the type of young man he is. He's met challenges straight on. That's what makes our culture, guys like Tucker Schommelin. And that's what's going to really help and elevate Alex Thompson to the next level, because he's got that guy biting at his heels each and every day, and Tucker's not going to give up anything easy. So Alex has got to earn it. And so that's a big part of our sport, is earning it. You might be the better guy, but did you earn it that day? And so Tucker is just can't be prouder. He's great, and if something happens to Alex, we really won't miss a beat with Tucker in there. And so there's a small difference between those guys, and they're battling, and Tucker's going to get to wrestle in these extra matches we're going to have tomorrow night.
All right, and last question from Margaret.
So a unique aspect of, wrestling is the fact that you have Olympic wrestlers and world champions training side by side with, these collegiate wrestlers in Jordan Burroughs at Nebraska. Olympic wrestlers and collegiate wrestlers all kind of went through the trial of loss this past year. In what ways did you maybe see Burroughs and your guys on your team learn from each other and lift each other up and maybe excel kind of in this off season?
Yeah, Margaret, that's a great question. I just think, people always talk about, oh, wrestlers are different. I think all athletes are different. If you're elite, you're gonna be a little different, and that's where I was a little surprised, but I wasn't from the standpoint when we got the news we didn't have an NCAA tournament, and obviously Jordan knew at that moment, 2 weeks after the NCAA tournament, the Olympic trials were going to happen, and that's, you got to win that to make the Olympic team. So all that was on hold. All that was like, whoa, this might not happen. This isn't happening. This probably is not going to happen. So I remember talking to him that day, but that he knew that it wasn't probably going to, the Olympic trials weren't going to happen. So I think it's just part of our sport. We're used to, you're probably not going to ever go undefeated in wrestling. You're not going to undefeated in life. And that's kind of how we try to relate it to our guys is this sport's going to help you in life, because you're going to get knocked down. You got to be able to have the character to get back up. And I think that's what that moment really was evident from our guys and Jordan himself, to say, you know what, okay, we're going to do it next year from now, 1 year from now. Just reset the dial, and that really shows a lot. And I think that's what our sport really teaches you moving on in life. And I think that's why it's so important that we have wrestling, college wrestling in America. Is it helps us, it helps America. And now I'm going to start sounding like Tom Brands, man, but I love it. I'm with that guy because we have the same mentality, and I like that because it is. It's not just a sport. It helps in so many levels, and that's why there's a lot of wrestlers that are very successful in life, because they know that element right there, what you mentioned, that doesn't always go right. You have to reset the dial, and you have to be able to get yourself back together, and that's what I'm really proud of our guys and Jordan himself.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks,
everybody.
Margaret.